Welcome to this special presentation, where we will delve into the incredible journey of Ellen Hayter, a talented art house filmmaker who, at just 21 years old, has made a significant mark on the independent film industry. From a young age, Ellen dreamed of becoming a director and has dedicated her life to turning that passion into reality. Through her work, she has shown that it is possible to create authentic and moving art even with limited resources. Ellen not only writes, directs, and edits her own films, but she also leads diverse teams of over 30 people, demonstrating her commitment to collaboration and powerful storytelling. Her latest film, Family Tree, has received praise and generated considerable interest, highlighting her ability to connect with the audience. Today, we have the opportunity to interview Ellen and delve into her life, influences, and creative process. We appreciate your presence and hope this talk inspires other young filmmakers to pursue their dreams. Without further ado, let's begin with some questions for Ellen. Ellen, starting from the very beginning, how long have you dreamed of being a director or filmmaker? Do you recall any specific moment from your childhood that inspired you to pursue this career?
I like that a lot for like an introduction question. That's cool. Not to be a douchebag, but I actually do have a story from when I was a kid, when I was like maybe 5 or 6 or something. That's like one of my first memories. And I remember watching Nightmare Before Christmas with my dad because emo girl. And yeah, it was one of my childhood favorite movies. And I watched it with my dad and I was like, how do they do that? And my dad was like, do what? Like, what do you mean? Like, he was like steal Christmas? Because he thought I was talking about, you know, obviously the movie. And I was like, no, like... Not like, just how do they do it? Like, how do they make the movie? Like, and my dad was like, what? And I was like, how do they, like, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to make movies. So, like, how do they do it? Like, can you just give me the rundown? Like,
You mentioned attending the Queensland School of Film and Television. How was that formative experience for you? And how did it influence your development as a filmmaker?
film school was, like, really funny because I was, like, the youngest one there. So it was, like, a little bit awkward because I was, like, a little bit cringy. But I definitely had a lot of fun there. It was like the only time that I had fun studying like anything actually. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot. I don't know what else to say. Like, it was good. I definitely want to study more to do with film in the future because like I feel like I'm not done. You know, I haven't finished cooking up my study of film. I still have much to learn.
You have mentioned using your own money to fund your projects. How do you manage that financial aspect, and what challenges have you faced in doing so?
Funding my own projects sucks. Like, I'm kind of just like, I wish I was a Nepo baby, because then I could just make all the films that I want to make, because obviously I've got like an insane amount of scripts that I've just put aside for when I have the money to make the project. But like, yeah, just working at jobs I don't actually want to work at. Like, I mean, boo-hoo, so does everybody, like, have to work at, you know, it's how you afford to live. But, like, also, it just sucks because it's like, can someone see my dream? Like, can some millionaire come along and see my dream and just fund me? Because trust me, bro, I have, like, the best ideas ever. Like, just trust. So, yeah, no, I don't like it. I don't love it at all. But also it's kind of good probably because if I was a Nepo baby, I'd probably be really annoying. Also quickly say, when it comes to funding your own projects, there is a lot of like freedom in doing that. Like if you are paying out of pocket for your own projects all the time, there's a lot of respect of it's your project. People don't try to take over and make it their project because you're literally paying for it and it's your creative vision. And I think people respect it a lot more when it's not like a collaborative thing and no one's getting paid. And, you know, because I've seen those projects in the works and been a part of them. And there's a lot of kind of, let's do this, no, let's do that, I don't know. And everyone's trying to collaborate and nobody knows what they're doing, just a little bit. Whereas with mine, it's very much like I have every single part of this project written down from start to finish, how we're going to do it, how we're going to shoot it, how long it's going to take. And people respect that if you're paying for it.
Family Tree has been a great success for you. What impact has this project had on your career, and how do you think it has resonated with the audience?
I think Family Tree was really good in the sense that, like, when I show people Love is Dead or Cards, I feel like, you know, I think they're great projects, but they show me younger and me straight out of film school, making a project. Whereas I think Family Tree kind of shows a lot more who I am as a director, the type of thing I want to make, and it shows a bit more my influences. Like, I feel like it's a lot more a modernised tale of something like Creature of the Black Lagoon, which is the art house kind of style that I actually want to strive for. Like, Love is Dead and Cards, they're just projects to me that I made because I wanted to make a project. But Family Tree is something that was a passion project. I actually wanted it to really exist and kind of say who I am as a director.
What are some of the most important lessons you have learned from your experiences as an independent filmmaker?
A lesson I would say is probably just like write things that you want to write, make things the way you want to make them. Even if like you're explaining your concept to people around you and they don't get what you're talking about, it doesn't matter because you get what you're talking about. And if you can visually see it in your head of this is how it's going to look, this is how this character is going to be, and you can translate it as a director to your actors and to the crew of this is what you want, even if they don't fully get the concept, you do. And if you're editing it, that's the final cut of how it's going to look. And that's where you translate it to the audience. And there's going to be people that are not going to get it. And then there's going to be people that are going to get it. And those are kind of your people. But make every project for you and not for anyone else. There's plenty of people like you out there.
Regarding your influences, you have mentioned projects like Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, and Sorry to Bother You. What elements of these works resonate with you, and how do you incorporate them into your own work?
I really appreciated Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared when I first saw it when I was maybe like 12 or something. And I think the reason that the writing's always stuck with me very heavily is because it's so, like, strays so far away from typical horror writing. Because to me, I've seen it very much like writing horror is like a recipe, it's almost like the same as telling a joke. Like, there's the setup and then there's the punchline and then there's the payoff, and in horror it's kind of the same, but it's like there's a haunted house, so there's a little noise here and there's you see something weird there, and then eventually you see a ghost or like a killer and you see a little bit of him here, a little bit of something here, and then eventually you see the killer. And it's the same kind of thing, whereas I feel like Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared was almost just the absurdity of the internet. It was a lot of things. It was nightmare fuel. It was just written to make you unsettled rather than scared. I really like Sorry to Bother You. I could definitely see how a lot of people could see Sorry to Bother You and be annoyed with the fact that they'd feel like, oh, there's such a message about capitalism and anti-worker kind of vibe going on and being shoved down my throat. And I can understand that, but I definitely think that there's not a single piece of art, whether you agree with what the art's saying or not, doesn't really matter. There's not a single piece of art that doesn't have some message in it, whether even the artist is doing it consciously or subconsciously. There's always some type of agenda. You can't get art without propaganda. That's just part of what art is. And I think the message in Sorry to Bother You is, I don't know, I really resonate with it personally. But I also think just the art house way that it's written is what I like the most. I'll just say quickly again with Sorry to Bother You, I think it's just a very underrated film as far as the editing, the pacing, the acting, the colouring. It's just got like a lot to offer considering it comes across kind of early stages about a guy who's kind of got nothing going on in his life and he needs money very quickly, and then it does a very good job of showing how quickly you can move your way up and become a sellout and forget who you originally were and almost abandon who you originally were, which I think is it's very well kind of portrayed in this movie.
Your brother, Zeke Hayter, has participated in several of your projects. What has it been like to collaborate with him, and what does his musical and acting talent bring to your films?
I'll also say, because this is a genuine piece of advice, because I think Love is Dead, I look back at it now and I kind of cringe because I did that when I was 18 and it's there, but I will say a lot of people I think are way too scared to just pick up a camera and start recording something. But if you haven't made a single project, it doesn't need to be Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. You need to practice a little bit by doing it. And I think it's really important that I made things like Love is Dead and Cards, because to me, that's practice projects for me to be able to make something like Family Tree. but I couldn't have made Family Tree without the practice of Love is Dead in cards. And yeah, it's just really important to practice. So that's another thing. Working with my brother is cool because, like, first of all, my family see all my films and they see Zeke for a good portion of it, but then they also see me for a portion of it, and it's a bit of a family ordeal, so that's cool. Another thing is I wouldn't have someone in any of my projects if I didn't think that they could genuinely act, especially act as the person I want them to act as, and I think Zeke is really talented at acting. He can become anyone I ask him to, and I think that's a really special ability to have, and if he wanted to, he could go pretty far with acting because, I mean, I've studied acting as far as filmmaking goes, and, you know, I can't do it. To me, it's like a talent you either have or you don't have, and he definitely has it. He's also, because he's my brother, he understands a lot more where I'm coming from with my projects, and that's really, you know, it makes it a lot easier for me to explain things to him as a director.
In the world of filmmaking, there are always challenges. What has been one of the greatest obstacles you've faced as a filmmaker, and how did you overcome it?
The biggest obstacle in filmmaking for me personally is definitely money, because if I had way more money than I do, then I would have way more projects out than I do. It's just, that's the only reason there isn't already another film out, is because every time I make a film, I go broke from funding it. So, if any producers are out there, fund me, because I will never run out of film ideas, ever, until I do. But I won't, I promise. Trust me, bro.
In addition to directing, you also edit and produce your films. How do you balance these roles? And which do you find to be the most challenging?
I do write, direct, shot list, so I'm also involved with every single shot in every one of my films. Cast and crew, edit. I do essentially all of it. And more than anything, the reason I do that is because, well, I don't, like I said, money's an issue, so I don't have enough money to go get a whole huge crew. So I'm kind of a one-lady team, but also I'm a control freak, and I feel like the only person who can get the vision across the right way is me. And the only way to do that is to kind of just do everything myself. So more than anything, it's not a big deal for me to essentially do every job because I'm a control freak.
Finally, what advice would you give to young filmmakers who are starting their own journey in the film industry?
I feel like I am the young filmmaker still, so I would feel kind of stupid trying to be like a wise old man sitting on a hill giving advice to young filmmakers, because I am a young filmmaker, but like, so I sound like a douchebag, but I will say, if I was like talking to my younger self, if I was talking to me when I was about to make Love is Dead when I was like 18, and I was all excited because I just worked a really shitty job and I saved up all my money and I finally, like, you know, I was going to tell everyone that I was going to make this film, I would say don't tell people, you know, except the people that are going to be involved with it. But don't tell your friends, because your friends, before you've made that first project, your friends just think that you're bullshitting, for lack of better words. They're just like, yeah. So I would just save yourself that kind of like, oh, like, that hurt my feelings. Just don't tell people, and just make it. Just make whatever project, don't tell people. So yeah, that's my answers for those questions, and God bless.
We thank Ellen for sharing her time and experience. Her passion and dedication are truly inspiring, and we are excited to see how she will continue to innovate and tell stories in the future.